Blind girl abandoned by stepmother in market. What happens next will shock you. Part 4 True Tales. The market was a buzzing chaos. People rushed around like wild animals, each with their own agenda. But in the midst of that pandemonium, there was a girl. A blind girl. Her name was Emily, and she stood alone, small and fragile, as if she were a ghost in a world of shadows. You wouldn't believe how much noise surrounded her, yet she seemed lost in a different realm. The screams of children, the shouts of vendors, the clanging of pots and pans all swirled around her, but what gripped her heart was the deafening silence of abandonment. Her stepmother had just vanished, leaving Emily standing there, gripping her white cane like it was the last lifeline in a stormy sea. You could almost feel the tension in the air, thick and suffocating. As she tapped her cane softly against the ground, a deep dread settled in her stomach. The market wasn't just busy, it was dangerous. Somewhere, a dog barked ferociously, and somewhere else, someone screamed. She could hear the whispers of other shoppers, their eyes darting nervously in her direction. What kind of parent leaves a child like this? They murmured. Their words dripped like poison into her ears, panic coursed through her veins. Emily wanted to cry out, to beg for help, but her voice caught in her throat. For a moment, there was a stillness as if the world had held its breath. Then there was a flash of movement, a hand reaching towards her. A man with wild eyes, dirty clothes, and urgency carved into his features stood before her. Was he here to help? Or was he another danger lurking in the shadows? Her heart raced, pounding louder than the chaos around them. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Emily held her breath as the man leaned closer, whispering something urgently. She couldn't understand his words, but the tension in his voice sent chills down her spine. Suddenly, another shout erupted from somewhere nearby. A group of teenagers laughed as they splashed water from a nearby fountain, bringing the noise level back to a deafening roar. The commotion swirled around them, something brushed against her arm, and she instinctively flinched. The market suddenly felt like a wild animal, each sound clawing at her sanity. It was as if everyone had forgotten about her. As her mind spiraled into panic, she clutched her cane tighter, her knuckles white. Would anyone notice if she disappeared, too? Suddenly, she thought she felt something, a sudden warmth wrapping around her hand. Who could it be? Was this the help she desperately needed, or another trap in the darker corners of her mind? With her heart racing and fear gripping her like a vice, she took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. Emily felt the warmth seep into her skin, grounding her amidst the chaos. The man's hold was firm yet not aggressive, as if he sensed her vulnerability. Listen to me, he urged, his voice almost a whisper. The intensity in his tone gripped her attention, drowning out the clamor surrounding them, but every instinct screamed at her to pull away. The market swelled and pulsed like a living beast, and she could almost feel its breath on her neck. Why are you helping me? She managed to ask, her voice barely a tremor above the surrounding noise. Because you need it, he replied quickly, his grip tightening just enough to ensure she wouldn't drift away. And there's south danger close by, we have to move. Danger? The word echoed ominously in her mind. As if on cue, an angry shout pierced the air, mingling with the laughter of the teenagers nearby. Instinctively, she knew she couldn't stay there. She took a step back, her world reduced to echoing sounds and shadows, but he pulled her toward him, an anchor against the oncoming tide. Let us go, he urged, starting to guide her, his hand steady and confident as he led her through the throng. Stay close. Emily had no choice but to follow his lead, her heart racing not only from fear but an emerging flicker of hope. As they squeezed past racing shoppers and vendors shouting their wares, she tried to focus on anything but the gnawing uncertainty that gripped her gut. "Who are you?" she asked, her breath hitched with every twist and turn. The aroma of spices filled the air, but now it seemed suffocating, intrusive. "Just someone who has been watching," he said, a hint of urgency masking what could have sounded ominous. "Trust me. I'll keep you safe." But what kind of safety was he promising? Emily bit her lip, uncertainty clawing at her thoughts. She wished she could see his face, to read his intentions through his expressions. But she couldn't. All she could do was listen and hope. Before long, the crowd began to thin, and she could feel the constricting chaos loosening its grip. Just when a sigh of relief started to lift within her, the man abruptly halted. "We need to hide," he exclaimed, looking over his shoulder. "Hide from what?" she gasped, a sense of dread washing over her. She could hear something now, a distant commotion, shouts that echoed through the market like thunder. "What is happening?" she pressed, clinging to his arm. "You'll find out soon enough," he said, urgency bleeding through his voice, a spark of fear lighting the air between them. Before she could respond, he guided her to a narrow alley, the walls towering like a fortress around them. The air was darker here, shrouded in shadows, and the vibrancy of the market vanished. The sounds of the crowd faded into a distant hum. As they crouched against the cool brick, Emily's mind raced. "Why are you really helping me?" The man turned to her, and though she couldn't see his face, she could feel his intensity. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind," he said quietly, a tremor in his voice. Just then, a loud crash sounded from the market entrance, ripping through the calm of their hiding spot. Emily's heart plummeted. The danger they were hiding from was drawing closer fast, and she had to know what waited just outside that alley, what truth lurked beneath the surface of this stranger's intentions. As the shadows shifted, a new wave of noise erupted, signaling that something had gone terribly wrong. Emily couldn't escape her growing anxiety, and she was about to learn just how perilous her situation truly was. Emily pressed herself against the cool brick wall, her heart racing as the noise outside swelled into a cacophony. She could hear shouting, punctuated by the sound of shattering glass and chaos that erupted with every frantic footstep in the market. "What is happening?" she whispered, gripping the man's arm tighter, seeking a sense of stability in the turmoil. "We're not safe here for long," he said, his voice low but urgent. "Trust me, we need to get moving." She felt a chill crawl up her spine. Hadn't he just warned her that danger was close? What kind of danger? Questions swirled in her mind, colliding with fear. She couldn't shake the tight knot in her stomach, nor could she ignore the unyielding grip he had on her hand. "Are you involved in this?" she asked suddenly, the accusation leaving her lips before she could stop it. "Are you the reason people are in trouble?" He paused, turning slightly to face her, and for a moment, Emily thought she could feel the weight of the night in his gaze, even if she couldn't see it. "No. I'm trying to help you," he insisted. "But your stepmother, she didn't leave you behind by accident." Her breath caught in her throat. The mention of her stepmother sent a surge of anger through her, twisting like a knife in her chest. "What do you mean?" she snapped, half defiant, half desperate for answers. Before he could reply, a group of people charged down the alley, their voices wild with panic. Emily flinched, recognizing the tone that screamed desperation. "We have to move," he urged, pulling her deeper into the alley, their surroundings growing darker and more oppressive. The man led her around a corner, where the narrow passage opened up slightly. They darted behind a dumpster, hiding just out of sight. Emily's senses heightened. She could smell the pungent odor of discarded food and hear the rustling of rags stirred by a night breeze. But it was the sound of those chasing the crowd that filled her with dread. Through the shadows, she caught snippets of conversation, voices raised in anger and fear. "Find her!" a man shouted, and her heart skipped a beat. What did they want with her? "Who are they?" she whispered, panic prickling her skin. "People who don't have your best interest at heart," he replied, focusing on the shadows slithering past. Your stepmother is in deep with them. She wants something you have. The weight of his words filled the air between them, and Emily's mind raced. Was it her trust? Her faith? Or something far more sinister? Why me? She said, almost pleading. I'm nobody. Exactly, he shot back, urgency sharpening his tone. But you have a choice. You can either let them take everything you've got, your freedom, your life, or you can fight back. Fight back. The thought sent a chill down her spine, yet it sparked something within her, a flicker of bravery entwined with fear. She could feel the walls closing in, suffocating her thoughts, but one thought stood out: she couldn't go back to being powerless. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed nearby, and the sound of footsteps grew louder. Emily squinted into the darkness ahead, every instinct honed. They were coming. The man's grip tightened on her wrist. We have to go now. Without waiting for a response, he pulled her from the safety of the shadows, the night air rushing around them. Adrenaline surged through Emily, sharper than the fear she felt moments before. They raced down the alley, the sound of chaos fading behind as they sprinted toward an uncertain future. What awaited them might be worse, but surrendering wasn't an option anymore. Just as they neared the alley's exit, a dark figure appeared ahead, blocking their path. Emily's heart stopped. Was this it? Would it all end here, at a dead end? Stop! The figure barked, halting them in their tracks. She hadn't even caught a breath when she realized they were out of options. Who was this new threat? What were they about to face next? The figure standing before them loomed larger than life, shrouded in shadows, exuding an air of authority that sent a jolt of fear through Emily. The tension crackled in the air between them. She glanced at the man beside her, his body tense, ready to spring into action. Who are you? He demanded, his tone unwavering. Just someone looking for the girl, the shadowed figure replied, a chilling edge to the voice. You'd be smart to step aside. This isn't your fight. Emily's breath quickened. They were forcing a showdown, and every instinct screamed at her to run, to hide. But there was nowhere left to go. Not without her, the man beside her returned defiantly. The figure chuckled darkly, the sound sending a shiver across Emily's skin. You don't know what you're getting into. She's not just some girl, she's worth more than you can imagine. What do you want with me? Emily's voice shook, barely above a whisper but edged with fierce determination. That he took a step closer, his face finally illuminated by a flicker of light from a nearby street lamp. Emily felt her stomach drop as recognition flooded her. It was someone she had seen in her stepmother's company, a man whose presence always made her uneasy. Your stepmother sent me. You're a valuable asset. She just thought you'd be easier to find. Asset? The man beside her spat. Emily's head was spinning. Every unspoken truth about her stepmother felt like it was crashing down on her. You don't know my stepmother, she said, trying to sound confident. She's not looking out for me. The man's eyes flickered, and for a moment, sympathy crossed his face. No, but she will use you if she gets the chance. Just like she used someone close to you. You're in deeper than you think. She's put you on a list. What list? The weight of this knowledge felt almost suffocating. Before she could get an answer, the figure lunged toward them, a stealthy movement that hummed with purpose. The man reacted instantly, shoving her behind him and bracing for a fight. Emily's heart raced wildly as the two clashed. Fists flew, grunts of exertion echoed, and sheer chaos erupted around them. Emily stumbled back, hands shaking, fighting the urge to scream. Everything felt surreal. She was watching the man gamble his life for her, and she was powerless to intervene. Get out of here! He yelled at her between breaths, grappling with the attacker. No! She cried out, desperation filling the air. I can't leave you. The figure pushed hard, sending the man crashing into the brick wall. Grime and pain filled the air thick with the smell of sweat and desperation. Emily's instincts screamed at her to run, but her feet felt glued to the ground. "Somebody help!" she shouted, feeling the weight of the night closing in. But only silence answered, a chilling reminder of how alone she truly was. Just as Emily prepared to spring into action, the man found his footing, delivering a powerful blow that sent the attacker staggering. "Now, Emily! Go!" he roared, looking over his shoulder. His eyes told her everything, that time was running out. With a final glance, she turned to sprint away, her heart pounding louder than the chaos behind her. She headed into the darkness, fear pushing her forward, but her mind still cluttered with questions. What would happen to the man? What was her stepmother really after? As she dashed into the alley, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A figure watched from the shadows. Who was it? Could they help, or did they pose a new threat? Stay low, stay hidden, Emily told herself. She pressed on, adrenaline surging, knowing the night was far from over and danger lurked closer than she could imagine. What awaited her in the darkness ahead? What secrets would unfold next? Emily's feet moved as if on their own, propelling her farther into the alley, away from the chaos. The cold air nipped at her skin, but her pulse ran hotter, fear mixing with every breath. She dared a glance over her shoulder, the night swallowing the sounds of the scuffle behind her. She pressed against the damp brick of the alley wall, heart racing in sync with her mind, which surged with panic and confusion. Who was chasing her? What did her stepmother want? More than anything, she felt a gnawing sense of betrayal. A sick feeling churned in her stomach as she recalled her stepmother's rehearsed smiles and sweet words. How could someone so close wish her harm? As she struggled to keep her thoughts from spiraling, a low rustle made her freeze. The shadow she'd noticed earlier shifted, stepping out from the darkness. Her breath hitched in her throat. "Hey! It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," said a voice, soothing yet urgent. The figure stepped into the dim light. It was a girl, perhaps a few years older, with piercing eyes that held both warmth and urgency. Emily felt a spark of trust flicker to life but squashed it. She couldn't afford to let her guard down now. "What do you want?" Emily said, trying to sound tough, but the quiver in her voice betrayed her. "I can help you," the girl replied, scanning the darkness with an intensity that made Emily's skin prickle. "You're in danger. They're looking for you." "Who's they?" Emily demanded, remembering the shadowed figure's haunting words about being an asset. "Your stepmother has people on her payroll," the girl said, shaking her head as if she understood more than Emily could bear to know. "You don't understand what she's involved in. It's deeper than you think." "What do you know about her?" Emily's heart raced. This wasn't what she expected to hear. "I used to be like you," the girl confessed, voice dropping to a whisper. "Naive, thinking family could never betray you." She paused, weighing her next words. "Listen, I barely escaped. If you don't leave now, you might not get another chance." "What makes you think I can trust you?" The girl stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Because I'm here for the same reason you need to run. I want to stop her," she said, her fierce tone igniting something within Emily. "But we need to move fast." Before Emily could respond, a shout echoed through the alley, raw with anger and urgency. The girl's eyes widened, and she pulled Emily deeper into the shadows, urgency palpable in her movements. "Come on!" she hissed, adrenaline surging through them both. They darted toward a narrow passageway that felt like a lifeline tearing through the suffocating night. Emily's mind was racing. She was running with a stranger into the darkness, but every instinct told her to trust this girl even amid the uncertainty swirling in her gut. As they sprinted, Emily caught a glimpse of flaring lights wrapping around the corner. Her heart skidded to a halt. It was the figure from earlier. He was close, and he wouldn't be alone for long. "Faster!" the girl urged, pulling her along. With no plan and nowhere to hide, Emily felt dread tightening like a vice around her chest. They burst onto the street, but it was chaos: cars honking, people shouting. Would anyone help them? Suddenly, the reality of her situation hit her like ice. They had to blend in, to become lost in the crowd. Then she spotted a bus stop nearby. The light above it glowed like a beacon in the dark, hope swelling within her. There. She pointed, desperation lacing her tone. They dashed toward it, breaths coming in quick gasps. Just as they reached the sheltering glow of the stop, Emily heard footsteps pounding behind them. A group was converging. "Get on the bus!" the girl cried, shoving Emily toward the open door. Emily hesitated, fear creeping back, mingled with doubt. What if they found her again? What if this was a trap? But the sound of angry voices grew louder, and the warmth of the bus felt like a safe cocoon. The door swung shut behind them with a chilling thud, sealing them in a sanctuary of noise and movement. The bus lurched forward, pulling them away from danger, but as Emily glanced back, she saw a figure standing on the curb, eyes locked onto hers. The figure was smiling, an unsettling smile that sent shockwaves up Emily's spine as realization hit her like a brick. Who was really on her side? As they sped away, she couldn't shake the unease knotting in her stomach. If they were safe, why did she feel so unmoored? What awaited them at the next stop? The night was nowhere near over, and the truth just beyond the horizon. The bus jolted hard, throwing Emily against the plastic seat. She grasped the edge of the seat, grounding herself even as her mind spun. The girl beside her was peering out the window, her face tight with concentration. "Are they following us?" Emily whispered, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I don't know," the girl replied, shifting in her seat. "But we need to get off at the next stop. There are places you can hide." Every word dripped with urgency. Emily's heart raced as she replayed their flight from the alley, the flash of lights, the sinister smile. Questions bounced like pinballs in her mind. What if the girl was right? What if her stepmother was as dangerous as she claimed? Suddenly, the bus lurched again and came to a stop, the brakes screeching like a banshee. Emily's chest tightened. Everything felt wrong. She held her breath, straining to hear outside. Voices filtered through the bus door, rising and falling. "Get off here. It's not safe," the girl urged, her eyes sharp. Emily nodded, trying to push the panic down further. They shoved their way to the front, the sounds of the street blaring around them, a chaotic blend of shouts, laughter, and honking horns. Just as they stepped off the bus, the girl grabbed Emily's arm. "Stick close to me." The moment they hit the pavement, the faint smell of rain-soaked asphalt mixed with exhaust flooded her senses. They ducked into a narrow side street, moved fast and low. Light from a nearby cafe flickered overhead, illuminating the girl's worried expression. "Where are we going?" Emily asked, trepidation creeping back in. "To a place I know," the girl replied, glancing back as if expecting to see shadows creeping around the corners. A distant shout froze them in their tracks. Emily flinched, her heart hammering in her chest. Did they know she was here? She swallowed hard, reminding herself to breathe. "Stay quiet," the girl whispered, urgency pulling them deeper into the darkness of an adjoining alley. They slipped into an alcove behind a dumpster, the smells around them growing more pungent, overwhelming her senses. Emily felt the girl's hand on her shoulder, steady yet firm. "I promise you, we're doing the right thing. But I need you to trust me." Trust. The word cut deep. How could she trust anyone after what her stepmother had done? But looking into the girl's eyes, Emily caught a small spark of determination that mirrored her own desperation. "Okay," she finally breathed, though doubt tinged her voice. A noise echoed from the end of the alley, footsteps thudding down asphalt. The girl tensed, her body coiled like a spring. Peeking out, Emily's breath caught in her throat. There were two men in dark jackets, their faces shadowed beneath the streetlights. They were scanning the area, as if hunting. "Quick! The girl hissed, nudging Emily deeper into the alcove. Emily's heart raced, her ears ringing. Would they be found? She clutched her backpack tightly, wishing she could disappear. The world outside felt coated with danger, and the lengthy silence amplified the momentous uncertainty. What do we do? She whispered urgently, the girl's expression hardened. We wait. And we listen. If they get too close. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out behind them. Emily whipped around, heart threatening to burst. A trash can toppled, clattering loudly across the ground. She could hardly breathe, the adrenaline thrumming through her veins. Stay calm, the girl urged, her voice a low murmur. The two men turned sharply towards the noise, eyebrows knitting together as they advanced. Emily felt a lump rise in her throat. Was this it? Would they then? The girl pushed her back further into the alcove. We need to move now. With no time left, the scent of fear mixed with a newfound determination surged inside Emily as they darted toward the opposite end of the alley. It was now or never. As they hurtled into the night, Emily couldn't help but feel a gnawing truth: her life would never be the same again. But the question loomed, larger than life. What would she discover when the dust finally settled? Just ahead lay a door, glinting in the moonlight. What secrets awaited them inside? Emily raced towards the door, pulling the girl with her. The rusty metal handle felt cold against her palm as she pushed it open. They stumbled into a dimly lit room, shadows dancing on the walls, the air thick with the scent of damp wood and dust. Shut it! The girl whispered urgently, and Emily slammed the door behind them, the sound echoing like a gunshot through the silence. The girl pulled out a small flashlight from her pocket, illuminating the space around them. It looked like an abandoned storage room, boxes stacked high, cobwebs hanging like tattered curtains. Emily's heart pounded. Was this really a safe place, or were they just hiding from one danger while stepping into another? Do you think they saw us? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, the girl replied, her eyes darting around as if expecting the men to burst through any moment. We should stay quiet. They crouched behind a stack of old crates, the flashlight beam flickering as the girl aimed it at the door. Minutes passed like hours, the only sounds the creaking of the building around them and the rapid thumping of Emily's heart. Who were they? Emily finally broke the silence. What do you mean? The men. The girl glanced back at her, her expression darkening. They're dangerous. Your stepmother sent them after you. Emily's stomach turned. I don't believe you. Why would she so? This is the part where you choose to trust me or not. The girl's voice was firm. She doesn't see you as her daughter. You're a liability to her, something she needs to remove. You need to wake up. The words hit hard. An icy grip of realization washed over Emily. Could her stepmother really be that cold? How do you know this? Let's just say, I've been down this road before. The girl's eyes turned distant, filled with a fear Emily could almost touch. There are people who prey on kids like us. You have to be careful. Before Emily could respond, movement outside the door caught their attention. Heavy footsteps sounded, followed by a muffled voice. They were close, too close. What do we do? Emily hissed, her mind racing. Sure, the girl pressed a finger to her lips and gestured towards a small window high above the crates. We might be able to climb out. They scrambled to their feet, pushing crates aside until they reached the window. Emily's hands trembled as she grabbed the ledge, her heart pounding violently against her ribs. Just as she prepared to pull herself up, a shout echoed from outside, chilling her to the bone. There! They went inside. Run! The girl shouted, shoving Emily upwards. With adrenaline surging, Emily clambered through the window and landed in a cloud of dirt and grass. She turned to see the girl follow closely behind, but before they could take off, they heard the door crash open. Stop! A voice roared, the two of them sprinted, feet pounding against the ground, the night air biting at their skin. Emily couldn't think only run. She felt alive, heart racing, the weight of fear and uncertainty lifted slightly by the thrill of escape, but as they rounded a corner, Emily glanced back, breath hitching in her throat. They weren't alone, figures emerged from the shadows, converging towards them, eyes glinting like predators. Faster! The girl gasped, tugging Emily along. Her legs burned, and panic clawed at her insides. What now? Would they be caught? Would they ever find safety? Just ahead, a narrow alley opened up, and the girl veered sharply into it. Emily followed, desperation and hope intertwining as they plunged into deeper darkness. This way! The girl urged, leading them into the unknown, what lay ahead. Would they escape, or was this perilous chase only the beginning? As confusion filled Emily's mind, one terrifying thought pierced through: what if she was never truly free? In a world where trust could mean life or death, would she find a way to escape the tangled web her stepmother had spun? Emily hardly had time to catch her breath. The girl's grip on her arm was fierce, pulling her deeper into the choking darkness of the alley. Ragged whispers echoed around them, and she could feel the heat from the figures behind them, closing in like unrelenting shadows. Just keep running. The girl urged, her voice now tinged with wild desperation. There's a way out up ahead. Emily felt a swell of disbelief, but the pounding footsteps behind them reminded her that they had no other choice. The alley twisted and turned, each corner a momentary hope, each step an eternity of dread. She bit back the fear clawing at her throat, forcing herself to focus on the girl's lead. What do we do if they catch us? Emily gasped, barely able to keep pace. Stick to the plan. I promise I'll keep you safe. Just trust me. With a quick glance back, Emily's heart sank. The men were gaining ground, faces in the shadows now illuminated with a frightening intensity. There was a glimmer of something menacing in their eyes, cold, predatory. She couldn't help but wonder what they wanted. Were they just going to grab her, or was something far worse awaiting if they were caught? Up here! The girl shouted, gesturing towards a chain-link fence that loomed ahead, silhouetted against the faint light of the moon. Emily's pulse quickened. They were close, but the fence was high. She could see the sharp metal poking towards the sky, and panic surged again. I can't climb that. Just lift your leg and go for it. I'll boost you. The girl was already scrambling towards the base of the fence. Without thinking, Emily leaned into the girl's urgency. She stepped onto the girl's back as she crouched down and felt a surge of strength from the brief connection. With one solid push, Emily reached for the top, her fingers scraping against the rough metal. Just as she found her footing, a shout ripped through the night air, echoing darkly. Get them! She turned to see one of the men leap closer, a flash of grim determination on his face. No! Hurry! The girl yelled. Emily scrambled to the top, adrenaline pumping. She could feel the heat of the man's breath, a vile and slick promise of danger. She swung her leg over and let herself drop to the ground on the other side, rolling to absorb the impact. Now you! She called, desperate for the girl to follow. But as the girl climbed, she hesitated, her eyes wide with something more than fear. Emily! Look out! The warning came too late. Emily turned just in time to see the man bolt towards them, hand outstretched, a dark purpose etched into his features. She felt paralyzed, as if fear had etched chains around her ankles. The girl lunged back, ready to grab Emily. Come on, we don't have time. But it was a split second too late. The man was upon them, fingers almost closing around Emily's arm. When get away from her. A new voice erupted from the shadows, fiery and commanding. Both girls turned in shock as another figure emerged, blocking their escape. A hooded figure with an air of unmistakable authority stepped between Emily and the pursuer, eyes fierce, body poised. Who the hell are you? The man growled, taken by surprise but angered. Emily held her breath, torn between hope and distrust. Who was this person? Could they truly help? Run, both of you. I'll handle this, the newcomer ordered, steely resolve propelling his voice. Emily hesitated. Doubt gnawed at her. But then she felt the girl's hand on her back, urging her forward, whispering, we have to trust him. In that split second of decision, they darted past the stranger, hearts racing and adrenaline fueling their flight. With a glance back, Emily saw the hooded figure confronting the man, a flurry of movement and an exchange of harsh words echoing in the air. But she couldn't stop to look now. The chase was far from over. In the depths of a city that felt both familiar and treacherous, they continued to flee, each heartbeat a step closer to the edge of uncertainty. But lurking in shadows ahead, were the answers they desperately sought, and dangers that would test their trust like never before. As they turned a corner into the unknown, Emily wondered what lay in store for them. Who was this stranger, and could he truly be their salvation? Or was he leading them straight into a new trap? The night was heavy with peril. Emily's heart raced as they sprinted down an empty street, the night thick with tension and fear. The girl beside her, still breathless but unwavering, pulled her deeper into the labyrinth of alleyways. Each footfall echoed like thunder, reflecting the urgency of their situation. Where are we going? Emily gasped, trying to keep pace despite her lungs burning. To a friend, the girl replied, glancing back with wide eyes. We need to get to the safe house. It's not far. A sharp turn led them into a narrow passageway that smelled of damp concrete and decay. The world outside was bright compared to this place, but safety was fleeting, and doubt crept along Emily's spine like an icy finger. Soon, they skidded to a stop before a heavy door that looked as if it had been chewed by time. The girl knocked quickly, a rhythmic pattern that seemed rehearsed. Seconds felt like minutes as they waited, every shadow stirred a sense of impending doom. What if they find us? Emily asked, her voice little more than a whisper. They won't. Not if we're quick, the girl assured her, but her grip on the handle trembled slightly. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with crates and a single bare bulb that swung overhead, casting erratic shadows on the walls. The figure inside was lanky and unkempt, dark hair hanging over their eyes as they frowned at the sight of the girls. Are you sure it's safe here? Emily questioned, her gut twisting at the stranger's uncertain demeanor. We don't have time for questions, the girl insisted, pushing Emily inside. Just trust me. Without waiting for more protest, she slipped through the door and closed it with a soft but firm thud. Who's after you? The lanky stranger asked, eyeing them cautiously. The words came out guarded, each syllable wrapped in tension. Men. Dangerous men. They have been following us, the girl said, drawing closer to Emily as if sensing the blood draining from her friend's face. They can't get in here. I've taken precautions, he replied, but there was a tightness in his voice that Emily picked up on. Precautions? Emily echoed, her heart pounding. What kind of precautions? Suddenly, the door rattled aggressively, sending a chill down her spine. The men were close. She could almost feel their presence through the heavy wood. The stranger's eyes widened. They've found us. Quick, over here. He motioned towards a hidden passage concealed behind a stack of crates. They followed without question, adrenaline fueling their actions. The claustrophobic space was filled with the rancid smell of mildew and something metallic that made Emily's skin crawl. It felt wrong. Too many secrets clamored around them. As they squeezed through the narrow opening, Emily looked back at the girl, whose face was pale but determined. We just need to stay ahead of them, she said, though her voice was shaking. Exiting into another alley, the air felt different, crisp yet stifling, like the night itself was holding its breath. They paused, gasping for air as they cast anxious glances behind them, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Where do we go next? Emily asked, trying to outline a plan. There's an old subway station nearby. It should lead us out of the city, the girl suggested, her eyes darting left and right as if the darkness could come alive, but as they turned to make their way, a shadow loomed ahead. A figure emerged, tall and menacing, blocking their path. His smile was crooked and full of malice. "I didn't think you'd be so easy to catch," he said, his tone dripping with mockery. "Did you really think you could escape?" Emily's breath hitched in her throat. The man stepped forward, revealing a jagged knife glistening in the dim light. There was no way to reason with a force like this. "Run!" The lanky stranger screamed from behind them, pushing the girls forward, but the moment stretched out painfully, each heartbeat ticking like a time bomb. Would they make it? Would the stranger's gamble pay off? Emily's legs felt leaden as they darted into the darkness, but what loomed behind was far worse. Then what lay ahead? They had to move fast. The night was just beginning to reveal its horrors. Which choices awaited them at the end of the path? Would trust prove to be their strongest ally, or their darkest mistake? The fear clawed at them as they raced towards the unknown. The air was thick with the smell of fear and adrenaline as Emily and the girl sprinted through the night, hearts pounding like wild drums. Every footfall hammered against the pavement, threatening to betray their desperate escape. "Keep moving," the girl urged, glancing back to gauge how close their pursuer was. "Where do we go?" Emily gasped, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Fear twisted in her stomach. What if they were caught again? "Look for the subway entrance," the girl shouted, eyes scanning the street for any sign of safety. "It's just ahead." But just as they rounded the corner, their hearts sank. The entrance lay blocked by two men, their silhouettes menacing under the flickering streetlight. They were trapped. As terror clawed at her insides, Emily felt the girl grip her arm tighter. "We can't let them take us. We have to find another way." Before Emily could think, the girl pulled her back into the shadows, their breathing heavy in the silence. The alleys felt alive, whispering secrets that sent shivers down their spines. "This way." They darted down another side street, hope barely holding on as they stumbled into yet another darkened alley. Suddenly, Emily felt a pulse of clarity amidst the chaos. She had to attack the fear that had gripped her heart ever since her stepmother had left her. "I won't be weak," she whispered to herself, the words like a lifeline. "She's just a kid. Don't let them see you," the girl hissed, her voice pulling Emily from her thoughts. They crouched behind a dumpster, the rancid smells of generations piling up around them, but Emily was determined to fight back. "Why is she after me?" she finally blurted, the frustration spilling over. "What could I possibly have that she wants?" "Your spirit, Emily. Your freedom. She wants to control you completely," the girl said, her voice laced with urgency. "Your stepmother is involved in something far worse than you realize, but you can stop it. You must choose to stand up for yourself." The moment crackled with tension, and Emily's chest tightened. Her stepmother's voice echoed in her mind, sweet and cold like steel. But now, her heart yearned for change. "What do I have to do?" "Be brave," the girl replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Let us distract them. You can sneak past while I hold them off." In that moment, everything fell into place. Emily took a deep breath and nodded, feeling the flicker of courage ignite within her. "Okay. On my count, go." They sprang into action, the girl charging forward with a fierce battle cry, drawing the men's attention. "Over here, you fools." The men turned, jaws clenched, surprise evident on their faces. Emily seized the opportunity, darting past them like the wind. Her heart thundered as she slipped through the small gap between two buildings, the clamoring footsteps behind her fading into the background noise. She was free for now. But before she could look back, a booming voice echoed down the alley, making her blood run cold. "You think you can run forever? You're coming back to me." It was her stepmother. A frigid shiver ran down Emily's spine. But deep down, she knew she had to be stronger now. She had found the will to reclaim her life. In that moment of clarity, she realized her freedom didn't lie in running or hiding. It was time for her to confront her fears head-on. She found a small vent that led into the subway station. Scrambling through, she sat in the darkness for a moment, the weight of decisions pressing on her. Just as she was about to crawl back out, she heard the footsteps halting outside. They had found her. "Now's your chance." A voice hissed. It was the girl again, coming in right behind her. "Stay with me." Emerging into the main area, the subway station was dimly lit, shadows hanging like fog. Emily turned to see the girl pull out a flashlight, illuminating a path ahead. "We have to keep moving." "No. We have to fight. I can't let her control me." Emily's voice rang out, igniting something fierce within her. The girl stared at her, eyes wide with awe. "Then let us do it together." In a wave of determination, they raced through the subway platform. As they approached a help desk, Emily grabbed a metal rod. "This is for all the kids like me," she declared to the empty hall, the words echoing with finality. Seeing their figures advancing, Emily felt a new courage wash over her. "Let us find out just how strong we really are." As they tensed at the sight of the advancing figures, a spark ignited deep within Emily. It was time to face the monster, to push back against the darkness that haunted her. "We will fight," she shouted, and in that bold declaration, she felt a chamber of inner strength open wide, and just like that, standing ready to face the chaos that awaited them, Emily took a step forward into the unknown, eyes glinting with newfound defiance. You need to subscribe now and don't miss another exclusive story that could change everything. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show support for these journeys. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What do you think will happen next? Your voice matters. This is the moment to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to be part of this thrilling experience.